Good evening, everyone, or afternoon or morning, wherever you are. Maneco 64 here, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. So it's Sunday, August 25th, 2019. Please let me know if the sound is okay. Let me know if it's buffering or not. I'm trying something new here that I hadn't tried before. I'm actually connecting the PC directly to the modem with an ether cable, or uh, uh, that's what you call it, I think. Yeah, and let me know if it uh, buffers, because in the last few times we had problems with buffering. So we've got quite a few people here already. Loads of thumbs up. Billy's here. He might jump off because it's really hot here this weekend. It's almost 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Like 30 degrees Celsius, not normal for this time of the year. So I see there's a lot of people here. Jeff Brown, Nacho Fool, Rob McShane, Howdy, me, Toyin from Finland. Sound is okay. Thank you, guys. Seems good. Pablo Pina from Ontario. Pablo is a regular participant. So is Graham Hobbs. Loud and clear. Jason Kim. Okay. So yeah, the title, of course, is like looking at the markets, economics, monetary policy, geopolitics. I think it's, in terms of the markets, of course, bad day for the stock market on Friday, down 600. Gold did very well. I think gold, closed right on the cusp here, I think, of really breaking out. We closed just above the lows from December 2011 and the low from May 2012, which was a really key level there around 1525 that we broke through in April of 2013, when gold really dumped, like from 1600 to below 1200 in a matter of weeks. So that was a huge drop, and that's what kept the market down for so many years, that drop there in 2013. So the fact that we closed just above that level at 1526.80 was very positive. Let's see who else we've got here. So London, Ontario, Rob Duchesne, G7. Yeah, Black Monday. So yeah, the IG index that I follow, it's a trading platform in the UK. They have a weekend market prior to the futures opening. Futures market opens at 6 p.m. New York, so we're still a few hours from then. But right now it says here that the weekend Dow is down 300 points. So in addition to the 600-point drop on Friday, it looks like we could see a rough time for the stock market tonight. Black Monday. I don't know if there will be a Black Monday, but I mean, we're entering the season, fall season or autumn season, when stock markets have usually trouble. Billy is here right behind me, Lord Humongous. Can you see him there? He's hiding behind me. How high do you foresee gold climb to, America, Luigi? Well, I think eventually, and I don't know when, but a matter of a few years, in my opinion, we're closer and closer. The gold will rebalance versus paper assets, and I see gold 1-to-1 at least versus the Dow. I don't know what price that will be, but when it is, I think that's when it will be probably interesting for people who have gold to try to accumulate assets that they've been wanting to accumulate. It's all about relative value. So I can't really give you a level, um, but I think it will be a lot higher than where we're now. I don't hold those stocks, Rob. I only have a couple, really not too many mining stocks at the moment. I have Klondike Gold and also Marathon Gold. Girl Old just says if you were partying this weekend, yes, it's going to be Black Monday. I guess it always is if you do party on the Sunday. Volcker rule revision. I haven't looked or read about that, but I don't really think the Volcker rule. I think they probably will want to revise that. The bankers are in charge. Volcker rule restricts the bankers from speculating. America Luigi 3,000 an ounce in Federal Reserve notes for gold. Possibly, I don't know when. We first need to break above 1920. And I think if we move higher here this week through 1525, 1535, it won't take too long to get there, I think. Because in a lot of the other major currencies, we're seeing all-time highs. Tom Seward, gold $1,000 by end of the year. That's when I stop buying silver and start buying gold. Book it. Well, that's why there's a market. There are people who sell, like Tom. He's short gold because he thinks gold is going to go down. Or maybe he's not short, but there's buyers and sellers. I personally think gold is breaking out. It's had a bottom for 6 years. And I think silver, the key level in silver really is 2140, 2150. Eventually, when we break through that level, I think silver is going to go crazy, but we still need to get there. 1750 right now is the resistance. Baudel, in this climate, potentially falling interest rate, is it a good time to hold gilts? Yeah, longer term gilts. If interest rates yields continue to go lower, the prices go up. That's right. Bonds. Yeah, and that's one of the reasons. Speculators are piling onto that trade, long bonds. Girl, OG, I think Tokyo opens at around I think 1:30 a.m. your time. You were 1 hour ahead of us here in the UK. I think it opens after like 12:30, just after midnight. Tokyo opens, but futures, the U.S. futures like COMEX that trade all the futures opens at 11 p.m. London time. So you have an idea of what the markets are doing then. Pablo, your perspective on BOE. Mark Carney talks about reserve virtual currencies that point to specific crypto. I actually think the most important part of his comments was that the dollar can't keep its status as a reserve currency for much longer, just because the relevance and relative importance of the U.S. economy is declining compared to other economic regions. I don't really think he was talking about cryptos. He's talking about just an alternative. I think personally, that's why the Chinese and the Russians have been buying gold, because gold will be a big part of the next monetary architecture, if you want to call it that. Kau Kanakoa from San Diego. Hi, nice to see you. Sell gold by USD, says wrecked. Well, if you think interest rates are going to go a lot higher, like they need to be at double digit, really, interest rates, if you want to correct the system, then yeah, I would sell gold and buy Federal Reserve notes. Yeah, I don't even like to call it US dollars anymore because it's a Federal Reserve note. It's not backed by anything. But I'm not doing that for the last 114 years or 115 years since the Fed's been created. The dollar has lost almost 100% of its value versus, or the Federal Reserve note has lost 100% of its value versus gold. So I'll stick to my precious metals. Typical Brian, awesome work. Thank you, Typical Brian. FX market probably opens a little earlier. Yeah, that's right. 10 p.m. London. Le Mont Blanc says lost money in gold, which is an impossibility unless you lose your coin, your gold coin. You can't really lose money in gold because gold is money, right? So everything else is credit, as JP Morgan said. So you can't really lose money in gold. You might lose purchasing power of fiat money, but you can't really lose money when you have gold. Benoit Hemrick from Belgium. Hi, Benoit. Mark Carney equals JP Morgan. Well, and Goldman Sachs as well. If you remember, I think I made a video. Well, I don't think I made a video, but I made a video, I think a month or two or 6 weeks about how JP Morgan Private Bank is actually wrote something in June recommending their clients for the first time to hold gold as a currency. First time ever. And so I thought that was quite significant. Sorry. Jim Diggs, historically, a crash comes about 1 to 2 years after 2 tens inversion, correct? Well, actually, I read an interesting article in Zero Hedge about the yield curve this weekend. And actually, the best part of the curve to look at whether there's going to be a recession is the 3-month versus the Fed funds 1 year forward. So apparently that's been inverted since I think November last year, and that's a really good indicator. But nothing is for certain. But I think we are there's a very good chance of a recession in the next 6-12 months if we're not in one already, in my opinion. Mario, what are the risks of bull treasury ETF? Well, the risks, bull treasury ETFs, there's always counterparty risk. You're not really lending money to the US government. That's the risk. The other risk is that bond markets actually stop going up and then their prices don't go up anymore. Tom Seward, yeah, Ballon GP is a smart dude. Yeah, I like his videos. Doesn't make too many videos, but they're good videos. Pablo Pina Carney leaving BOE and there's a seat at IMF. Yeah, some people are saying that he was like making a pitch for the IMF position. Who knows? DJ Dorat, love your videos. Please keep up the great work. Do you feel that we are entering a deflationary period followed by a big hike in interest rates? Yeah, I think, when you say deflationary period, I think what we have to know is that asset price deflation. I think the central banks are really scared that asset prices go down. because that's what keeps this credit-based system going. But I think at the same time, the cost of living is going to be rising, and has been rising for the general public. They feel it, so it feels like you have price inflation. But yeah, the danger for the central bankers is deflation of asset prices, bonds and stocks, because to create debt, they need to keep inflating the system, because money in the system is debt. That's what they're concerned about. I'm not sure if they're going to raise interest rates. I think the market is saying that rates are going to go lower, even though the cost of living is rising. So there's not much protection, and that's why precious metals are doing well. I think now we have about 17 trillion of negative yielding bonds. Bitcoin Ben, good day, Bitcoin Ben. Nice to see you here. Haven't seen you in a while. Give me eyeballs. How much silver do you own? Well, it's not something that I'd like to divulge, but in monetary terms, it's not as much gold as I own, but I have some silver. I've been buying silver since 2003. So I've had to sell some a few years ago, but not that much. And I bought some back about 4 years ago. Bitcoin Ben, the bond market is in deep trouble. Well, actually, for people who hold bonds, it's the market is not in trouble, because yields are going down, so prices are going up. So it's a bull market in bonds. So yeah, that's what negative interest rates are. Basically, negative interest rates or negative yields means that let's say the German government wants to borrow for 30 years, which they did last week, and the yield was minus 0.1%. So what happens is that you have to put 100 euros, but then in 30 years, you only get like 99, right? So, but people, in the meantime, that yield could keep dropping, the 30-year yield in Germany, and the price would keep rising. That's how you make the money. But you have to make sure you get out at the right time when you're a speculator, because when it turns, prices will drop very quickly, because there's a lot of leverage. Just gonna have actually got cold water in my end of Fed mug, because it's really hot in the UK. Helen De La Rosa, do you have a target price for silver to swap this? For silver to swap the silver to gold? I don't plan to, sell gold to buy silver or vice versa. I just hold both. So I don't. Kathleen Chan, some people do say that we could go 1-to-1 ratio gold to silver. I'm not too sure. I don't think so. It could. I think a realistic target is 30-to-1. I know historically it's like 15 or 16-to-1, and in the ground is 9-to-1. Bitcoin Ben says he means the bond market is causing trouble. I think it's a symptom, Bitcoin Ben, that there's trouble, because people see the bond markets, government bonds, as a safe haven, only because governments, can always pay back with printed money. They have the power to do that. But in of itself, it's not causing trouble. Is more a symptom, but it will cause trouble as well, like you say, because older people that retire, they won't be able to take their Nasdaq and put it in a 5-year Treasury yielding 5%. I remember years ago, when the 5-year was yielding 5%, at the time it was really low because it was usually 6 or 7. So if someone has $500,000 when they retire, a nest egg, if you had 7% interest rate on the 5-year note, you could get $35,000 a year of income. Now you're getting, maybe what is it, 1% or 2%, 1.5%. You're getting like $7,000. So yeah, it's going to be not great timing because the baby boomers are going to keep retiring until 2030. So yeah, you're right in that sense as well. Marcia says in Portuguese, Marcia Smith, she loved the mug. Yeah, you can get these in my Teespring store below. I've also got other mugs, Billy t-shirts, Teespring store, and the Fed mug. Swiss franc, just another crappy fiat currency that's gonna is gonna drop against precious metals like all the other ones. So maybe a little stronger than stronger than the pound, of course, and the euro, but they're all sinking. I agree, Tom Seward. Modern politics is Kabuki theater. So is geopolitics. I recommend this book here, The Energy Non-Crisis by Lindsay Williams. He talks about how the OPEC oil crisis in the 70s was basically, people thought that it was the Arabs punishing the West, but they were working together, the top people in the West. So I think this how can I say, trade dispute between China, the conflict between Trump and the Fed is all Kabuki theater. So it's all like distraction. Lena Romero, do you gain if gold gains on Glint? Of course, the price, if you have an ounce of gold or 31 grams of gold with Glint, it should say $1,500 or 1,250 pounds, depending on what currency you set to your system. And if gold goes up $100, you will have $1,600. Of course, it's just like holding gold. It's physical gold allocated to your name, held in Switzerland at a Brinks vault. That's what Glint is, and it allows you to spend the gold if you want. Not you don't have to, of course. Lord Humongous says Glint will do great. Yeah, I think it's a good tool to have, even though I recommend people also buy physical gold. That's my preference, physical gold. But Glint is a great tool, I think, because it allows you to buy as little as $1 in gold, physical gold. Lord Humongous says, after the dust settles, I will be getting a Glint account. Yeah, I mean, if anyone is looking to get it, you should use my promo code. And I'll put it right here. It's Mario Glint79. And I also still have my promo code with Gold Investments in the UK. Maneco64 promo code. You get 0.5% discount when you buy physical gold or silver with Gold Investments. Sini Lydon, do you think gold stocks will fall in price if general stock market crashes? No, unless gold falls as well. I think if gold continues to go up, the mining stocks are going to do well, no matter what the general stock market does. In the 30s, the best performing stock was Homestake Mining during the Great Depression. Gold miner, I think it went up 500%. Trexo, a few bullion dealers offer transactions in Bitcoin and other cryptos. Yeah, Gold Investments in London. I've been in contact with them, as you all know, and I have the promo code with them. They're working on allowing clients to exchange their gold or silver for Bitcoin, but they're not ready to do it yet. They're setting it up. Pablo Pina, what's your opinion on Trump ordering U.S. manufacturers and companies out of China, and how will this cause and affect the economy? Well, it's one thing to ask them, will they do it? I mean, it's a big move because globalization, or, the globalists, their strategy was to move production to China. And they had to give 51% ownership to the joint venture to the Chinese, and they kept 49. Yeah, they got the cheap labor and shipped everything back, outsourcing, shipped everything back to the States. Yeah, if that's the way things are going to go, yes, I think it will mean higher prices. But at the same time, down the line, I think it will mean jobs will come back to the U.S. So that would be a good thing. But the transition is not going to be pretty. And I think it won't be good for the U.S. companies, because all these companies, the stock market has done so well in the last 20 years because they've been able to ship all their production abroad. Not just production, but services to India and places like that. So if that's going to change, it's going to be huge. But I think in the long term, it will be good for America, because that means people will actually have jobs again like they had in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. Paul Sent, what do you think of Professor Keen's work? I listened to him a few years ago. He used to be on with Max Kaiser. Yeah, he's interesting. He's different than the mainstream economist, but I don't agree with everything he says, and I haven't really followed him much lately. Yeah, Bill Perry, the world has a government problem. Yeah, not only the US. Government is too big. It's all the size of government has been growing ever since, the beginning of the 20th century, I would say. 19th century government, size of government was very small. That's something that needs to change. DJ Dorat, could China dump US Treasury bonds? Well, if they try to do it very quickly, the US Treasury would basically freeze their account. So they got to be careful. The Treasury can freeze, because the Treasury holdings are in the US. So the Russians have been doing it more gradually, and I think they've divested themselves completely of US Treasuries. The Chinese could do it as well, but I think they need to do it more slowly. They can't come, if they try to sell everything over a week. Yeah, I think it will be, we'll probably have, I think Jim Ricketts calls it ICE 8. All the markets will shut down. If the Chinese try to sell all their treasuries very quickly, the markets would shut down, stock markets, everything. That's what it would do. So I don't think the Chinese want to do that. Jason Kim, I see homeless every city I go, Southern California, LA County, San Bernardino. Your thoughts? Jason, we have the same problem here in the UK. We got what they call food banks. Even people who work need help buying food because they can't afford, the cost of living, renting. Yeah, a lot of people sleep rough here as well. It's everywhere. No, I don't have platinum. I don't own platinum. Is it possible we can get inflation causing housing prices? I mean, housing prices in the UK have rebounded, even though they've kind of slowed down in the last year or so. Um, yeah, anything's possible. If interest rates are going to go a lot lower, people might be able to remortgage, refinance at lower rates. But there comes a point when people can't afford anymore if house prices are too high and their wages aren't keeping up. The real purchasing power, their wages aren't keeping up. Tom Seward, thank you for the super chat donation. I appreciate it. Animal Farm is next. The New World Order is close to endgame. You could be right. And I think that's there's nothing really we can do individually, in my opinion. All you can do is do the best for yourself, your family, you know, uh, and also try to wake people up, people who want to listen. And that's why I do my videos. But I don't think it's hard to change things. And to try to change things in the political world is a waste of time, in my opinion, because politics is controlled by the New World Order. SC, that's a good question. Is it possible trade war is an excuse to blame economic collapse on the other side? I agree. Yeah, I've thought of that. Yeah, it's a perfect excuse for not only for the Chinese leadership, but the American leadership. So they can flush the system down the toilet because they need to do it because we got so much debt, and then blame the Chinese will blame America, and America will blame China. They won't blame themselves, right? So, good point there. I think that you've got it right. Yeah, Bill Perry, Alan Greenspan. Yeah, he's a free market guy, but he switched to the other side. He wrote that essay about gold and economic freedom in 1966. Gary Evans. It depends on the dealer. You need to do your homework. Sometimes some dealers will pay you above spot or a better price than another dealer. It depends if they have any stock and they have people that want to buy. They might pay above, you know, the spot price. Usually, it's below the spot price. But excuse me. We got quite a few people here. Not bad. 240. So it's not buffering today, is it? Can you let me know? I've actually read about why it was buffering, and I've actually bought an Ethernet cable and connected my PC straight to the modem, to the Wi-Fi. So I think that sorted it out. Lena Romero, you've been a very good teacher. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. Hybrid parts, what's going to happen to gold tomorrow? Uh, I mean, looking at where we closed on Friday and what happened after the markets closed, all the announcements of increase in tariffs, I'm seeing here that the IG index in the UK, they trade the weekend Dow. It's down 300 points. That's on top of the 600 that it was down. So it could go anywhere. I think we might trade higher, break that 1535 level this week, but it could also drop back below 1500. I don't know, but longer term, I'm holding on to my gold. Shane Sturgis, in Britain, we have a real problem with a lot of tax going to the monarchy and their servants and cronies. I agree. It's everything is got a tax on it. I mean, um, everything. Tom Seward, thank you again for your super chat. He says Trump was installed to bring USA down. Obvious. I think so too. And at the same time, he's a good cheerleader, right? Andrew, Trapman Trading. That's what sorry, it's going a bit fast. That's what motivated me to my channel about getting more gold and silver people's lives to protect. Yeah, I mean, Andrew, I started buying gold back in 2002 just to try it out as an investment. And then I started reading about gold, the internet made it easy. And I learned a lot. And yeah, it's amazing. Prior to that, the only thing I knew about gold is that they closed the gold window in 71, but not much. My father bought some gold, I think, in the late 80s and never really did much. He got out of it, didn't really lose that much, but it was frustrating. So that's the experience I had with gold before. And I worked in the city in finance, and yeah, in the late 80s, early 1990s, early 2000s, up until 2007, there wasn't much questioning about the system. You just accepted the system, but it's changed a lot, not only in finance, but the general public is waking up to it. John the Glass. Hi, John the Glass. One thing that I think about that could happen in the precious metals market is that we could see, if things get ugly with this, with what's going on in the market, it could be very difficult to buy gold in the next few weeks if we break out. So I'm not telling people to go out there and buy gold. I'm just saying that if you don't have some gold and silver by now, you need to get it as soon as possible. But I also advise people that they shouldn't just buy it as a trade. They should try to do dollar cost averaging of gold and silver. Rog Machine, Bitcoin impression of tone vase is hilarious. All right, I'll take a few more questions, and then I'm going to call it a day. We've been on for about 38 minutes, and yeah, so Diggers Adrian, what do you think about Mark Carney saying dollar is too dominant and could be replaced by digital currency? Well, I'm not too sure what it will be replaced by. I think that hopefully the markets will decide, even though the globalists and their minions were going to try to control it. I think what he means that the U.S. economy cannot support the reserve currency anymore because basically it's not as big as it used to be after World War II. It's not the biggest creditor nation anymore. It's the biggest debtor nation, right? And it's indebted America by being the reserve currency. So he's right about there needing to be a change, and I think there will be. So just take a couple of more questions here. Jason Kim, I think it's going to be a reset of the price. I don't think it means we're going to go back on a gold standard or be using gold, gold-backed currencies. But I think they'll just do it through repricing gold a lot higher versus all the other currencies, because you can't, the dollar can't devalue against the yuan, because the yuan will try to devalue against the dollar with the euro. That's the problem with fiat currencies. They can't everyone will try to devalue, and that's a mess. The only thing they can devalue against and solve the problem, in my opinion, right off the bat is versus precious metals. They might do it against other cryptocurrencies as well. Don't forget, cryptocurrencies are not fiat currencies. There's no legal tender law saying that Bitcoin should be a currency. It's a currency because the market decided it's a currency. So there you go. Cyber, did you watch Steve Bannon's video on China? I saw a thumbnail. Is that in Real Vision? No, I haven't looked at that. Yeah. I'm not too sure about Steve Bannon, really. I think he's just like the other viewer said a few minutes ago, it's just Kabuki theater. They're going to bring the system down, so they need to blame the Chinese for it, even though the American globalists have been involved in opening up China. I mean, who went there in the 70s to open up China? Well, George Herbert Walker Bush. So I think that's what Bannon is doing. Oh yeah, thank you, Tom Seward, for the shekels for Billy. Okay. All right, everyone. Thank you for watching and participating and asking questions. If any of you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, make sure you do. And I'll talk to you tomorrow. Tomorrow is a holiday in the UK, but the markets will be open all over the world, and I will be making my video tomorrow morning. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and take care, everyone. Thank you. Bye. Thanks again there, Tom. Some more shekels for Billy.